Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is episode 5 of the Millennial Classroom. So this morning I was thinking about, what's the video I'm gonna make. And I was just thinking about a few common things that all the successful people follow. Now we read about them, we watch the interviews, we consume so much of motivational content today. Of all these successful people and what are the tips that they have for us youngsters who are willing to, make a good life out of it. So I sat down and I noted down 6 universal rules for a good life. I genuinely feel it comes down to, these 6 things. And if we are able to even follow, I don't know, man, maybe even half of what these 6 things are, I think we'll really make a good life. So let's get started. So the first thing I observed was acceptance without blame. The amount of time these guys spent on accepting everything that was bad around them was way more than the amount of time they spent on blaming the things around them. I think the majority of us sit and blame the factors that were given to us. We blame how much our parents gave us, we blame what's the kind of friends we have, we blame the kind of relationships we have had and whatnot. One of the common things that these guys have said over the years is accepting the cards that are dealt to you is one of the strongest things we'll all do. You look at personalities like the former president of the United States, that's Mr. Obama. You look at Oprah Winfrey. Why I'm citing these examples is because if you learn from their documentaries, they always talk about the bad stuff that happened to them because of the color that they are and the racism that they have dealt with and all that. Just imagine for a second these personalities sitting down and complaining about everything that's going wrong which is not in their control. I don't think they would have gotten to where they are today. Now that's just an example. These external problems for each of us are different, and I think our journeys are going to start the day we accept whatever is given to us. Let's accept how much ever money we have. Let's accept that our skill level is not yet where it should be in terms of what we want to chase in life. Let's accept that not everyone around us has been good to us. Let's accept that people have hurt us, and most probably it's going to continue to happen. These things are not going to stop. So I think the first trait has to be the pace at which we accept and move on and start working on building our own work ethic. Let's move on to the second point. Okay, so the second point, the what versus how. I think this is a point that I kind of learned from the book called The Secret, and I'll also tell you the personality that kind of reminded me of this. They always say about the fact that we should stop worrying about the how. Very often we have these big dreams, but we sit and think about how are we going to get them, and it's too big. What's the formula? What's the solution to get to that point? And pretty honestly, most of us are going to suffer if we are going to spend time figuring out how we are going to get there. So the book talks about what you exactly want, and there's this really nice interview of Jim Carrey, right? Now Jim Carrey goes on in one of the shows, in one of his interviews, and he says in his initial days he wrote a check to himself of $1 million, because he wanted it, and it eventually became true. Now the $1 million was his what. How, he never knew. It actually turned out. Now I'm not saying all of us are going to earn $1 million by writing a check to ourselves, but I'm saying let's figure out what the what is. Honestly, none of us don't know how we are going to get there. none of us have. If we had the idea, probably we're already on the way to it. And for those guys who already know, they're probably already on the way to it. But for the guys who don't know, for the guys who are confused, for the guys for whom it's unimaginable, like you don't have people around you with that information, you don't have people around you with that influence, as we call it, to help you get those right opportunities. But I think the first step is we'll have to figure out the what. What is it that we want? What's the exact kind of job that we want? What's the kind of money that you want to make? And once these goals are ready, I think we'll start sending out the right signals to the people around us, and things will start falling in place. Time for the third point. Okay. So the concept of conformity or conformity, however you want to call it, this is a concept I learned from one of the Shark Tanks. If you watch the series called Shark Tank, one of the investors' name is Damon John, and he speaks about conformity on one of his videos. He says the younger guys, especially today, are very prone to conformity. Now what he says, what conformity is, we want to give a definite answer to things. Now, this concept is pretty wide. You can go and read it by yourself if you haven't yet read it. But he talks about why we are in a hurry to give definitive answers. Now, if your friend asks, why are you doing this job? You want to feel confident about the answer that you're giving. If a relative asks me about if I'm happy or not with my job, I really want to give her or him a very confirmed answer. Yes, I'm happy, or no, I'm not. Or if someone asks you, do you know where you're going with your career? We are scared. We better know where we are going. He says the need for conformity is making us take a lot of bad decisions in our lives. The concept of conformity also talks about, one of the most common problems that we have is group pressure, right? If a certain group around you is doing something, you want to be a part of it because it confirms to you that you're doing something well. So the baseline of this is, let's be okay with not knowing. Let's be okay with being ready to figure it out. Let's be okay with the journey of not knowing. As simple as that. Time for the next point. So we all have different sources from which we learn from, right? For me, I think one of the most common sources is movies. At least the inspirational ones are like my favorite. If I need motivation, that's where I go to. One of my most favorite movies is The Pursuit of Happiness, and how Will Smith, portrays the importance of giving time for things to work out. For us, it's like a golden rule, because we are a part of a generation who are so used to instant gratification, who are so used to measuring success almost immediately. Our work is always put out on social media. Our work is spoken about on our family WhatsApp groups and whatnot, and we just want to immediately know whether what we do is working or not. Now it's pretty dangerous, because as soon as we get gratification, it's actually slowing us down and it's reducing the intensity of things altogether. Now what I learned from that movie is there's literally a long journey before we actually make it. You look at masters, man. You look at the god of cricket, let it be Sachin Tendulkar, any athlete that you look up to. I'm not going to go into names. And all of them speak about how it's taken them time to master something. You look at businessmen, speak to Drake, I was about to say speak to Drake. You listen to Drake's interviews. He always speaks about how long it's taken him to master his music, how long it's taken him, the number of hours it takes him in his studio to create his music. In fact, they all speak about this common concept called the 10,000 hour rule. Now, if you calculate 10,000 hours, it goes into years. It really goes into years. So let's slow down, man. Let's slow down. Let's stop chasing instant success. Let's stop chasing 6 months, 12 months improvements. Let's focus more on mastery than results. Let's go on to the next point. The fifth point is something I'd like to call asking for help. Now, I learned this point from the great, one of the most motivational people we've all known. It is Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, in one of his speeches, speaks about how he always believed in asking for help. Asking for help just has to become the golden rule for all of us. Collaboration has to start. And let's be honest here, everyone's spending time on self-improvement. And if we actually take that initiative to call our friends and to call whoever our colleagues and ask them for help, I don't think they're ever gonna say no to it. So let's be open to asking for help. The final point, and the sixth point, is from one of my most favorite people on this planet. I think he keeps us all going on most of our days, at least he does to me, and his name is Gary Vee. He speaks about the concept of micro versus macro. So one of the guys in his sessions asks him, do I worry about my near future, or do I worry about 10 years down the line? How do I break the balance? And he just says 4 words, okay? And those 4 words were macro planning, micro celebration. And that kind of, I think I'll never forget these 4 words, because what he means by that is start planning for those 10 years, start planning towards how you want to make your life, start planning towards the specifics of it and all that, but don't forget to celebrate your micro achievements. Now, these achievements can be as small as what you did today, or what you did in this week, or what you did in the last month. Now, those celebrations are not only acknowledging the amount of efforts we put, but it also helps us go forward. We are humans, let's not be too hard on ourselves, he says. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to burn out as well. We don't want to put in so much efforts and then we realize, man, we have given so much time, but we are not seeing the results as much as possible. So let's celebrate the kind of milestones we are hitting, but also on the macro level, let's plan it as well. I think this video is going to remain very special to me, because over the years, I'll definitely want to, rewatch this particular video as well. The rules of living a good life are obviously going to change for all of us. We're going to learn way more. We are going to edit the beliefs and principles that we follow. But I think as of today, and knowing the kind of people that we are and how we react to things, I think if we can follow these 6 things, we're definitely gonna go a long way. So if you like this video, please hit the like button, share it with people, and let me know if you have some rules for success in your mind. I'd really, not success, a good life just generally. If you have something like that, do let me know. See you on the next video. Thank you so much.